Hey, what's going on? Aaron here. Hope you are doing well. If you're watching this video right now, you might be checking out Amazon FBA as a business model and you're wondering, is this a good way for you to make money online? Is this legit? How much money can you potentially make? Is this something that is even worth your time, right? We're going to talk all about Amazon FBA and then you can decide whether you should, go into this particular business model and start selling products on Amazon, all right? Now, at any time, if you want to get my favorite way to get to $5,000 to $10,000 a month, 100% from home, just click the link below and I'll send you my favorite strategy. You can check that out if you want. Now, I've reviewed hundreds of different business models, products, courses, websites, paid and free, and lots of different ways to make money online. And some of them are great and potentially you can do very well. Some of them so-so and some of them just straight up not worth your time, all right? So let's check out Amazon FBA and then you can decide for yourself whether this is something you want to explore. So Amazon obviously doesn't need an introduction. Huge, massive, global e-commerce website. It's the number one platform in the world to buy physical products, all right? Owned by Jeff Bezos. Amazon FBA though is very interesting. So what you can do is you can piggyback off the Amazon infrastructure, and if you want, you can basically create your own products, send it to Amazon. They will do all the shipping and handling for you, and when somebody buys your product directly on the Amazon platform, they will basically ship and handle and do all the customer service for you, and then you get paid, for selling those products. And that's kind of how it works. And then the profit that you keep is minus all of your costs, which is basically all the advertising, the sourcing of the product, and then sending it to Amazon and doing all the branding and all that stuff. And then you have to pay a little bit to Amazon as well for the shipping and handling fees, okay? And then you keep the difference between the revenue and how much you paid for all the costs, and that's how you would profit from Amazon FBA. So essentially what you do is, and what they don't say here, is that you got to do all the learning of the business, which is actually, I would say, 90% of the headache really of learning how to do the business. You have to go and source your products. Usually it's from China or Pakistan or India, or sometimes you can do it locally depending on where you live in the world. You would get all that product and you'd have to buy quite a lot of units of that product, okay? That's the thing that you have to understand. Usually hundreds of units to even do a test. And then you would package it, brand it, which you have to pay for, and then you would sell it. You would send it to Amazon. Okay, once you send it to Amazon, so you send inventory to Amazon, and then Amazon is responsible for the fulfillment when somebody buys from their platform, and they also manage the returns and refunds. You would manage it a little bit, and Amazon would as well, because they have to send it back to the Amazon fulfillment center. Okay, so it's both of you that's actually doing that part, right? So that's Amazon FBA in a nutshell. So basically, you're selling your own physical products, but Amazon, you're kind of piggybacking off the Amazon platform, and they do all the shipping and handling. That's the easy way to kind of describe it. Okay, now there are two ways to do Amazon FBA, all right? One is doing it wholesale. That means that you resell existing brands' products, okay? So that means you piggyback off somebody else's brand and you sell it on Amazon, and you kind of, piggyback off their brand essentially, okay? Now the problem with this is limited control over branding and packaging, high competition from other sellers, and this is a big problem right here, lower profit margins due to price competition, right? A lot of the time when you're selling products on Amazon, there is always a price competition because people will be doing the selling of the same product as well. So it can be pretty competitive. I'll show you this in a second, okay? Now, another one is called, you sell white label, okay? What they call white label, private label on Amazon. Now, this is creating your own products and brand of products, okay? That means you would go to, a private source that you would find maybe in China, Pakistan, wherever it is, okay? You would buy it cheap and then you would brand that product, right? So you would create a brand around it. And this could be anything. It could be perfume, it could be pillow covers, it could be dog treats, for example, right? But you have full control over the branding and the packaging and the customer experience, which is pretty cool, okay? Now, the benefits are that it's low competition as you build a unique product line, right? And the profit margins are definitely higher as you set the price and you control the costs, all right? Now, here is the thing about white label or private label on Amazon. Even though the profit margins are higher, you have to understand that you're still selling a physical product, okay? So even if you're selling dog treats, you can only sell dog treats for a certain amount of money because people aren't gonna pay $500 for dog treats. Does that make sense, right? So there is still a price ceiling that you can price your products at, because no one, everybody knows roughly the price of dog treats. Now you can brand it and make it premium, but still they're not going to pay $1,000 or $5,000 for dog treats. Does that make sense? So I'm giving you a exaggerated example there, but that's what you have to understand about selling physical products, is there is a price ceiling, because people know generally how much a calculator costs, right? How much dog treats cost, how much a pair of glasses costs, how much a mug costs. So you can't charge exorbitant fees for that product, otherwise people aren't going to buy. So there will always be price controls when you sell physical products on Amazon, right? But just understand that you can do wholesale, or you can do something called private label or white labeling on Amazon. These are two different types of strategies, okay? The next thing that you have to understand is the way it works is, so let's just say you're selling kitty lamps, okay? When somebody searches for the term kitty lamp, they're gonna see all these different kitty lamps, all right? So you can see that there are a lot of kitty lamps here, and the way that people will generally buy from your store usually is people buy from the top. Okay, now you see how it says here sponsored, 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 right? These are all, this is what's called Amazon pay-per-click. So you can spend money to increase your product listing so that people can actually see it. And this is the challenging part about selling on Amazon, is that because everybody is selling on one website, there is a limited amount of space that you can use to actually display your products, right? So the people down here that are not using advertising, they're using something called search engine optimization, and that will really depend on a few things. How good you've actually created the listing, your pictures, and also how many reviews do you have? Now these have a lot of reviews. You can see 1,464 reviews. This one has 3,330 reviews. This one has 9,781 reviews. If you're a brand new store, you're gonna have 0 reviews, which means that it's gonna be pretty difficult for you to get a high listing unless you spend money on sponsored Amazon pay-per-click ads, which is what a lot of people will do, okay? And also it's pretty competitive, because you can see that there are so many of the same type of kitty lamps, right? So this is what's called wholesale, right? You're using somebody else's brand. It's the exact same thing. And what are you competing on? You're competing on the price, right? Because it's exactly the same thing. Look at this. This one's $12 and this one is $19 pretty much, right? But it's the exact same thing. So which one are you gonna buy? You're probably going to buy the cheaper one, right? Which means it becomes a price war, which is unfortunately one of the disadvantages on selling on Amazon. And this is kind of the tricky part, okay? So let's take a look at another one. This is fidget spinners for adults, right? It's a very interesting niche right here. Now, you can buy this for kids as well, but these are some really interesting fidget spinners, right? These are premium. I mean, look at this fidget spinner. It's basically $22, $21.99, right? This one is like, this is titanium or stainless steel. This is a $13 fidget spinner. It's not plastic, right? So this could be white labeling. Okay, which means that you find the product from a supplier, wherever it is, India, China, Pakistan, wherever it is, and then you would brand it, and you would bring in maybe really high quality toys. That might be your brand, for example, okay? So you can charge a little bit more. I mean, $22 for a fidget spinner is no joke, all right? But you would still have to sell a lot of these fidget spinners in order to make a lot of profit, okay? But this is an example of perhaps white labeling, okay? Now, in terms of learning how to do this, okay, there are a lot of places that you can learn how to do this, and here are some really good courses, right? I would only look at usually the top 5, okay? So Freedom Ticket, Amazon Selling Machine, which is really popular, Proven Amazon Course, and the Wholesale Formula and Amazon Bootcamp. By the way, I've reviewed all 5 of these products on my channel, so if you want to check them out, you can search for them. I've reviewed all of them in detail. They all cost roughly about $1,000. Some of them a little bit more, some of them $3,000. So, good Amazon courses range between $1,000 and about $3,000. I have seen, courses go up to $5,000. So it really depends on your budget. But please understand that if you want to learn Amazon selling or Amazon FBA properly, you need to invest in a program. Okay, that's just the name of the game. You can't do this by watching free YouTube videos. It's just too difficult. You need to actually learn it step by step, because there are so many moving parts in order for you to get good at Amazon selling. Okay, so what are some of those parts? Well, the first part is you have to learn to source the product. You also have to learn the strategy. Which one do you want to go for? Wholesale or private label or white label, right? So there is a few different things that you have to learn. Another thing that you have to learn is how do you brand it? How do you do the packaging and all that stuff? How do you send it to Amazon, right? How do you deal with all the labeling of the products, the barcodes? There's a lot of stuff that you need to learn, right? Once you do that, you have to also learn how to do the product listing, and then you have to learn Amazon pay-per-click marketing, and then you have to learn how to do all the customer service and the back and forth and all that stuff, okay? So there are quite a few pillars within Amazon FBA that you have to get good at, okay? And so let's talk a little bit about the pros and cons, all right? So, let's wrap it up. So the pros of Amazon FBA is, yes, it is a potentially, multiple six-figure, sometimes even millions of dollars a year business model, all right? But the problem is that it's quite complex, okay? But yes, there's a potential to earn quite a lot of money. The second thing is that Amazon is a very reputable platform, so you can be rest assured that it's a legit business model. You just have to learn how to do it properly. Number three, there are actually lots of niches to choose from. So I've shown you just a couple here. This is a kitty lamp niche. This is a fidget spinner, but you can sell pretty much anything. And that's the cool thing about Amazon, is that if you go really deep, you can, and if you're good at what you do, and obviously this takes skill, right, is you could find niches where people haven't necessarily sold in. But there's also a caveat to this, we'll talk about this later, right? But there is potential for you to still get into niches where it's less competitive, okay? Number four, you can build this from anywhere in the world because this is an online business. It's kind of like an online offline business, because it's offline because you have to physically go and find the physical products, right? So if you want to do wholesale, you still have to contact the retailer. If you want to do white label, you have to go you have to contact these suppliers and find these suppliers in China, in India, in Pakistan, wherever it is, Malaysia, Thailand, wherever it is, right? Or maybe you do it locally in Europe, in the US. There are local distributors, and this is a strategy too, but you have to be able to find local distributors that will sell your products for cheap so that you can actually make a profit, okay? Now, so these are some of the pros, right? And there are people doing really, really well on Amazon. But what are some of the cons, right? What are some of the disadvantages? So the first thing that a lot of people don't know about Amazon FBA is that it is not a cheap business model to start. Minimum, you need $10,000 to $20,000 US dollars to get started. Why? Because first of all, you have to buy the course, okay? The courses aren't cheap. Between $1,000 and $3,000, sorry, where is it? Between $1,000 and $3,000 for a good Amazon FBA course. Okay. Now, after you purchase the course, you still have to spend money on all the products that you have to buy. That's the thing about Amazon. You have to buy all your product up front, because then you have to brand it, package it, which also costs money, and then you have to send it to Amazon. So that will cost you about $3,000, $4,000 to buy your product, right? To stock Amazon, okay? So where are we up to? We're about, $8,000, $9,000 already, okay? And then you have to spend money on Amazon pay-per-click marketing. That's at least $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Okay, to spend on advertising. You should have a budget for at least 3 to 6 months. Okay, so what's that? That's another 3 to 6 months. If you're spending $1,000 a month, that's another $3,000 to $6,000. We're up to between $13,000 and $15,000, right? And then you might have to pay for all your tools and your software and all that kind of stuff, and that costs money, right? $500 to $1,000 a month to manage your actual business. So we're looking at, again, $15,000, $16,000, and there you go. That's the cost of setting up a business, right? So it's not very cheap, but if you have the budget for it, it's something that you could potentially start, right? It does cost money to start businesses, all right? So you can't start any online business for zero. You do have to understand that, and it's still relatively cheap compared to starting a traditional business. That's true. So if you were to start a brick and mortar business, like a cafe or a franchise, you need minimum 50 grand to at least $300,000, $400,000 if you want to buy into a franchise like Chick-fil-A or Starbucks or McDonald's or whatever. This is all very traditional business, right? But still, an online business is a lot cheaper than starting a traditional business, but Amazon FBA for an online business is definitely on the higher end, okay? The other thing is it's very competitive. Okay, when you sell on Amazon, there are a lot of people doing Amazon FBA. There are a lot of people teaching it, right? And the big problem with Amazon is that it has a limited amount of visibility, right? So if you search for something like kitty lamp, as you see, this is all you have to, like people don't scroll all the way down to buy a kitty lamp, unfortunately, right? It's very rare that people will even go to page 2 or page 3 or page 10. So most people will buy from page 1, right? And so if you're not on page 1 on the top here, then you're probably not going to sell very well. And that is a big problem with Amazon, okay? There's a limited amount of space, which means that it's very competitive, and people sell in multiple platforms. If you're a good Amazon FBA seller, you're not just going to sell fidget spinners, you're going to sell a lot of different product listings, okay? A lot of SKUs, okay? So very competitive. It's very complex. There are a lot of things that you have to master. The getting of your products, the branding of it, learning the strategy, which can be very hard as well, right? Doing the barcodes, the pricing, the product listing, the pay-per-click marketing. There's a lot of stuff that you have to learn, the support, dealing directly with Amazon, and also you have to learn Amazon's terms of service, okay, which is quite difficult. So if you break their terms of service, sometimes by accident, maybe you're not trying to do it on purpose, it is a learning curve and it's a learning process, and Amazon does have a lot of terms of service because you're leveraging a multi-billion-dollar platform, okay? And that can be quite difficult to navigate. But having said that, if you're okay with all the disadvantages, right, it is still a viable business model, and there are people doing very, very well with Amazon FBA. Now, is everybody doing well with Amazon FBA? No, because just like starting any business, it will really depend 100% on your skill and how well you apply yourself when you learn how to do it from one of these courses, if that's what you decide to do, all right? But if you can figure it out, then potentially there are people doing very well on Amazon FBA. But I would say that the majority of people that try fail in it because starting a business is quite difficult and complex, and again based on these issues right here. Oh, the other thing that I want to mention as well, and I should have added this here, is that the profit margins are very low, okay? Low profit margins. We're looking at like 15%, okay, on average. That's considered low, by the way, all right, if you didn't know. Yeah, 15, maybe 18, 20% if you're lucky. That's generally the profit margins for Amazon FBA. So it becomes a volume game. You have to sell a crap ton of kitty lamps. You have to sell a crap ton of fidget spinners. Does that make sense? That's how you really get into profit with Amazon FBA. All right. So if that's something you'd like to start, then completely up to you. It's still a very viable business model, even though it is quite cost prohibitive and it is quite complex. But if you're somebody who's interested in that, then you can definitely give it a shot, and there is potential to make big money with Amazon FBA. All right. I hope you enjoyed this review of the business model, right? If you are here watching this video, maybe you are looking for a way to generate income online. You don't know how. There are many, many ways to create income online these days. I've invested in so many different business models over the years. I've been online for 15 plus years. And out of all the business models I've reviewed and invested a lot of money into myself, there's still one that I think is great for beginners. It's the most affordable, it's the most scalable, it's the most simple, it's not as complex as things like Amazon, dropshipping, SMMA, digital agency, YouTube automation. It's still, I think, the most straightforward, the most profitable, and the easiest for a beginner to go from zero to their first $5,000 to $10,000 a month minimum, 100% online. If you would like that strategy, click the link below and I'll send that straight to you, and you can check that out if you would like. All right. I hope you enjoyed this review of Amazon FBA. Hope to see you on another video review. Take care.